Welcome back to our channel where we give you the latest updates in cryptocurrencies, where we really want to maximize your financial health, which makes a big difference to you. Now, today we're going to do a deep dive into Bitcoin because we're coming up to some very key dates that you want to put in your diary for potential price reversals. Now, the key thing that I just want to remind you of, despite what you're hearing outside in the news, is that markets tend to move in fives and threes, and it's just crowd psychology playing out. So we can actually ignore the noise and just look at the pure price action. So this is Bitcoin's price. We've nearly seen the price double since November, late November, early December, from around 15,000 to around just over $25,000. But what does that mean? Well, just a quick recap. Markets tend to move in fives and threes, and Bitcoin has made a textbook five-wave move to the upside. And what we should anticipate following a five-wave move is a minimum of a three-wave correction. Now, where we are right now with Bitcoin is this zone. And we've been projecting this for a while, and we've had a nice move to the downside. And you've probably noticed it's impacted the entire crypto markets. A lot, if not most, has had a massive move to the downside. But I don't believe that massive move is over. That's just the warm up. I think we're going to get soon a second leg because that's most typical of corrections. Now, the date that I want you to be aware of is the next CPI announcement, Consumer Price Index. We can see these vertical lines over here. These were the last few CPI announcements. And this is the next one on the 14th of March. So here we had a reversal date and the price moved down. Here we had the price move up. It was a bit past the date. Here it was almost bang on the date and we had this final surge up to the market. And the next one is over here. Now this gives us a clue on what's very likely to occur over the coming days and weeks when it comes to Bitcoin. And that's what I want to pay attention to. So we're going to bring up a few different things. But before I do, I just want to let you know, I've actually produced a free Bitcoin report and I do timely updates. And I just released the latest report over the weekend on the 4th of March. So I'll cover this in a bit more detail with Bitcoin itself. But I highly encourage you to also look at the last 2 weeks that we did as well, because it's just been bang on point where we were anticipating this fifth wave and this correction. And it seems to be unfolding in a very textbook-like fashion. And you can get instant access to the Bitcoin report. It's in the link below. It's free. I've got a few other goodies there as well. It just helps you up your skill level so you can ignore the noise and make objective decisions so you can make more money from the markets. So let's just now get rid of the price data because sometimes it can be, quite noisy. A lot going on in the charts. What I just want to emphasize here is we're probably going to have today moving a bit further down with Bitcoin to finish off what we're calling a potential, well, I call it a wave one or A, but it's likely it's going to be a correction, but we'll see. But basically a local low that's probably going to last a few days. And the key thing to keep in mind is that over maybe today, tomorrow, over the next few days, we're probably going to see a sideways to up movement. But don't get overexcited. It might cause quite a big pump in a lot of other cryptocurrencies as well. That's quite normal. But what's very likely to occur, that is only going to be a wave B correction. Again, remember, markets tend to move in fives and threes. And it's more than likely going to coincide with the next CPI date, which is the 14th of March. And if it does, if we've got pattern, price, momentum, we're going to talk about momentum in a second, we're probably going to see this second leg to the downside that's probably going to test, if not exceed, below the $20,000 mark when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, if you've spotted what's happened to the rest of the market when this occurred, because around $200 billion left the crypto market and there was a massive dip, we're probably going to get the second dip, which is probably going to be a bit more devastating. However, the good news is this may end up being the end of a correction, which we're talking about end of March, early April. And again, we'll be keeping a close eye on the market. And if this is the case, we're probably going to see a continuation of the prior trend. Now, there's a couple of different scenarios. We don't need to concern ourselves. What I just want to right now, what I want to really focus on is this point over here. So let me just break down a few different things. So next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up a momentum indicator. Now, remember, this is for the price action of Bitcoin. I'm just hiding the price just so it just cleans up the chart a little bit. In fact, I'll keep it on now. I'll keep the price on because I want to emphasize this part of the market. I just want to emphasize this over here. What you'll notice with momentum indicators is important to know what a momentum indicator is, but also know what it isn't. Momentum literally just measures the rate of change. So it's a lagging indicator. It just takes past information, but it's useful to us because it will tend to coincide more often than not with lows. So when the blue line crosses over the red on both of these momentum indicators, when both align, it's a stronger indication, and then the momentum moves up. We had a bearish reversal over here. And what happened? Well, it coincided with this top. So where is the momentum literally right now? Well, it's in the oversold zone on both of these. And what that tells us is that we're likely to see a low either today or tomorrow or maybe the following day of Bitcoin. But it's going to be a local low, more than likely. And this is what I just want to emphasize so you can just prepare yourself. When you have a local low, this looks like the first leg of the correction, which is almost complete, either complete over here, but more than likely, I think we're going to just see one more day to the downside. And if it does complete, we're probably going to see a three-way move to the upside. That's typical buying and selling behavior. Probably going to retest this over here. So we can plan and prepare for this and be patient for this. Why? Because then there's going to be some really nice shorting opportunities over the coming days. So let's just quickly do that. I'm going to just quickly show you this. And by the way, with the Bitcoin Report free membership area, I've also included some bonus training, some Elliott Wave basics, and some Fibonacci price basics as well. You see that on the left. So that's included. So do dive into that because it will just help take your trading to the next level. So you have a higher probability of making money from the markets. So what we're going to do is we're just going to assume, we'll know by the end of today and tomorrow, that Bitcoin is going to make one more move to the downside. And let's just assume it does get to this point here. Again, we don't know that yet, but let's just say it does. And then what we can do, and we'll do this once we get more clearer information, is we can do what's called a retracement. And these are the typical price zones for Bitcoin. We can see it's likely to get up to around the $23,500 mark, close to the $24,000 mark, and a maximum of $24,500. These are typical corrective price zones. So when you get a local low and then you see a correction, it typically gets to a minimum of this part over here. So 23,500. So don't be overly surprised if we do over the coming days see some upward movement in Bitcoin. But the key thing is when the momentum comes over here, it will line up with the weekly momentum. You may be seeing this dashboard. I created this myself. It says that the weekly is in a bear downtrend. What it just tells us is the macro picture, the momentum is down. And it's suggesting that we're going to see sideways to down for a number of weeks, probably towards the end of March, into April, maybe early to mid-April. So when the daily momentum coincides with that, as we saw up here, and I'm just going to pull up these sell signals. I build these sell signals, so it just makes it easier for us to see when these key reversals happen, then the continuation to the downside happens. So what you want to be really patient for to short the market is some type of movement to the upside. Again, 23,000, 24,000 mark with the next bearish reversal with Bitcoin, where we get the next sell signal and then anticipate the next move to the downside. We're more than likely going to move towards the $20,000 mark. And by the way, if you want to test out these signals for yourself, you can now get them. We've made it available. You can now actually trial it and test it for £1, 30 days. I've just updated the actual latest training, actually. I've just showed you how you can add an alert. So when the signal occurs, you get an email notification so you will never miss a trend reversal ever again. So there you have it. There's my thoughts on Bitcoin. I think there's going to be a massive opportunity, not only over the coming weeks, days and weeks, but actually over 2023 and 2024, I think we're going to see some phenomenal trends. And crypto in particular just tends to be amazing when it comes to pattern positions when we're using Elliott Wave because the crowd psychology just tends to be raw. Right, I'm going to finish with a quote from my book. We're going to go with chapter 1 today. I'll start every chapter with a quote. And the quote of the day is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, and he said the following: I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. So, failure is a key ingredient to success. Now, we never obviously fail on purpose, but it can be the difference between winners and losers. And there's another quote that is from one of my other favorite books. It's from a book called Black Box Thinking. And he said this: beneath every success is a mountain of necessary failure. So, in other words, what I'm trying to get across to you is that everything in life is difficult before it's easy. And we just have to go through the learning curve. And the more you can apply yourself, the faster you'll learn and the higher probability that you have of making money from the markets.